Albany Firebirds joined the Arena Football League. Now they are one of the league's most enduring franchises. This season, a new-look squad in hot pursuit of their first Arena Bowl berth. If Albany is Old Faithful, then Iowa is the most successful new kid on the block. Last year, the Barnstormers went to the title game in only their second season, and they got there by stopping Albany in the playoffs. Old and new meet again tonight. The Rage in the Cage is next. Not a word, Albany and Iowa, they are two of the Arena Football League's smallest markets, but they are mighty large on talent. And tonight, these 2-1 teams clash at Pepsi Arena in Albany. And one of the marquee stars in the field tonight for Albany, touchdown Eddie Brown, last year's offensive MVP. He is the real deal. Hi again, everyone. I'm Mike Adamley along with Mike Golick. Glad you could join us for what is becoming a very intense rivalry over the last couple of years. We start with Iowa offensively. They come into this game second in the league in scoring. And everybody says, well, that's okay. That makes perfect sense because they have all-league quarterback Kurt Warner. But that's really only half the story.
Well, right now, Iowa is doing it by land. They are on top of the charts in rushing this year, and they boasted two top rushes in the league in Andre Allen and John Moten, both with 63 yards apiece, both with 2 touchdowns apiece. But the big stat, Allen close to 6 yards a carry, and Moten close to 7 yards a carry, and that's music to a quarterback's ears as it's helped Kurt Warner throw for 11 touchdowns and just under 700 yards.
Well, usually the story here in Albany is offense. Last year they had a quarterback, Mike Perez, who threw for 84 touchdowns. He's been traded to New York City. Offensive production is down, and they've had to do it with defense this year.
And they have done it on defense. They've given up 30 points a game. That tops the league. Also, they are #1 in pass defense. Their specialty, breaking up the pass. That's what they do best. And when your offense is sputtering, your defense needs to pick it up, and that's just what Albany is doing right now.
One of the many great players on the field tonight. Touchdown Eddie Brown. Last week we had a chance to see Orlando's Barry Wagner. This guy just as special.
Absolutely. Off to a bit of a slow start with 2 touchdowns, but last year had 41 scores. He is a human touchdown waiting to happen.
And Eddie Brown's team, the Albany Firebirds, have won the toss here at Pepsi Arena, the Cage, and back deep for the Firebirds, Michael Baker. As we look at Iowa coach John Gregory in 1995 and 96, Coach of the Year. His counterpart for the Firebirds, Mike Daly. Been here for the last 6 seasons. This is his first, however, as head coach. John Black, or Mike Black, will kick off for Iowa. Both teams 2-1 coming in to tonight's contest. Baker, the Firebirds deep man, second year pro out of West Virginia, leads the league in kickoff returns. His nickname, The Truth. Well, Michael, here comes the truth. Off the right foot of Mike Black. And this one caroms off the post. Michael Baker had to hustle. Ball goes out of bounds. He downs it at about the 4-yard line. That's where the Firebirds will put it in play.
And that's a live ball coming off that net. They have to give an area, catch the ball, gonna roll it forward. That's a live ball. They had to get out of bounds.
New quarterback for Albany this year. Last year was Mike Perez. He was traded. Mike Pawlawski takes over.
I left wing zoom 60 storm.
6 touchdowns so far this season, but also 6 interceptions. He's working the timing out with his receivers. It takes a while. The Firebirds from their own 4. Eddie Brown in motion. Pawlawski eyeing him all the way. Easy pitch and catch. Tackled by Hiawatha Pfeiffer. The rest of the Albany offense, we talked about Eddie Brown at the top of our show. Mike Baker. This man can fly. They need to get the ball to him as well. And up front, a steady, if not spectacular, group of down linemen, led by Jerome Brown. 1st and 10 for the Firebirds at their own 20. Brown in motion left. Underneath pattern to Michael Baker, the man we were just talking about, and he powers his way into Iowa territory all the way down to the 5-yard line before finally being brought down by Chris Spencer, number 83, a gain of 25 yards.
Now you're going to see Iowa in some zone coverage as they are here. Just a quick slant over the middle to Baker, who had a great year in St. Louis. As you see Spencer with the tackle, not bringing him down. He's driving his legs on the tackle, but driving Baker right on downfield. Nice pitch and catch. You'll see Iowa in some zone, but for Albany to take advantage with some slants.
1st and goal for the Firebirds at the Iowa 6. 3 receivers now after the motion to Eddie Brown to the right, and Brown, is he in? I think he was down. He was down at the 1-foot line. Nice looking play, Mike.
That's a quick screen. They're going to throw it right out to Eddie. You're going to see the lineman go out almost like a run. You'll see a lineman out ahead of him, and Eddie Brown will cut back into the field to come behind his lineman. It's a good, smart play run by Eddie Brown, but he did not make it into the end zone.
Defensively for Iowa, Tony Ketchings, he's their best two-way lineman. And on defense, Todd Harrington, who is 2nd in the Arena League in tackles this year. Touchdown. Firebirds do it first, and the Firebirds do it quickly. Chad Dukes, who leads Albany in rushing, does the honors.
Nothing fancy about this, Mike. Straight ahead blocking, man on man. Pick the man in front of you. The linebacker tries to fill a little too late. Straight ahead play. Nothing fancy. Gets you 6.
And that drive took all of 2 minutes and 57 seconds. So the Firebirds draw first blood here at Pepsi Arena. After the point after, they lead 7-0. Cover this league long enough, you know that the Albany Firebirds are potent offensively, and they scored quickly here in the first quarter.
Mike Pawlawski, who is still trying to get going with this offense, took him only 4 plays and 46 yards. As you see, nothing too fancy. Short patterns letting the receiver make the yardage after the catch.
Alezovic kicking off for the Firebirds. Great special teams coverage downfield. Willis Jaycox, the return man, a flag on the play.
Got offsides on the kicking team. Got a little anxious trying to get down and cover. That'll cost him a few yards. Offsides, 3 yards penalty here, not 5 yards, 3.
The Arena All-League quarterback of a year ago, Kurt Warner. His 1997 numbers, rolling right. Incomplete, that one intended for Chris Spencer. Offensively for the Barnstormers, Willis Jaycox, an interesting story. A big star with Iowa, but he held out early. Missed the first game of the season, and he is slowly rounding back into shape. And up front, again, Tony Ketchings, Iowa's best lineman all the way around in 1996. He anchors that offensive line.
Whistle blows. Michael Baker down. They were getting ready to run the play, and he just kind of gave a look like, I can't go right now.
Well, I think he's either... He may have gotten some kind of particulate in his eye, because still floating in the atmosphere inside the Pepsi Arena here, shrapnel from the fireworks display before the game.
The pyrotechnic display. And Michael Baker seemed fine, then all of a sudden went to the sideline like a little disoriented. I think he could be right. Could be something in the eye.
Defensively for the Firebirds, Kyle Moore, a former All-Big Eight player at Kansas. And Larry Jones, their defensive back, he'll draw most of the coverage tonight. their best cover man. In 1996, the Firebirds averaged nearly 62 points, 63 points a game. That was a record, down to 38.7. Mike, we mentioned at the top of the show why the numbers are down.
Absolutely. Mike Perez at quarterback, 84 touchdown. He's gone in the trade. Mike Pawlawski trying to get used to this system, down to 38 points. But defensively, as you saw last year, giving up 44 points a game. This year, the defense picking up the slack of that offense, giving up only 30. And right now, that's gotten them that 2-1 record.
Iowa leading the league in rushing the football. Let's see if they go to the ground early despite trailing 7-zip here in the first quarter. Lamar Cooper, the man in motion. Spencer, the intended receiver. Stephen Jerry on the play, and he'll get called for the infraction, I believe.
Oh, he will. Yeah, and he's going to argue, but...
You are wrong, yellow flag breath.
You know what? I got to quit doing that. Boy, oh boy. It sure looked like Stephen Jerry had wrapped around him, but they're going to call Spencer on the push-off. And Spencer, at 6'4", 235 pounds. As you hear the referee make the call, 235 pounds, he's got some muscle to use to push off on the defensive back.
Watch Stephen Jerry, number 4. See if we can see the push-off. Obviously, we got there late. Warner's got Lamar Cooper all alone. We just talked about Larry Jones. He was the man assigned on the coverage. Lamar Cooper, the fastest player on the Barnstormer team and one of the fastest players in the league. He just showed you why.
46-yard play, but Larry Jones fell down. You'll see right in the middle. If we can see it on this replay, he's not even in the play. He fell down, making the break, which left Lamar Cooper wide open with nobody home.
Mike Black on now to attempt the extra point. 16 of 19 coming in to tonight's game. Again, the goalposts in arena football, just 9 feet wide, and that one wide left. So a minor break for the Albany Firebirds. Black mixes the extra point, and the Birds still lead by 1.
Just widening the vertical game they're just trying to do. They're manning up Lamar Cooper and Larry Jones, and Larry Jones just tried to break for the ball and fell down, left Cooper wide open for an easy touchdown.
3 plays, 43 yards, just 2 minutes, knocked off the clock. You know, the rule of thumb in arena football, you need to score on 80% of your possessions. If you miss 1 or 2, it's costly. So far we've had 2 possessions, we've had 2 touchdowns. Eddie Brown takes the ball off the net. Gets it out to the 9-yard line. Hiawatha Pfeiffer going over the boards.
That's the fun of this game, using those wall. We see Eddie Brown taking out the end. So good block coming up here right at the right of the screen, you see. That was Volvo, a nice block. Eddie Brown taking it to the outside. Gets knocked out of bounds. What you don't see is Pfeiffer going over the top of the wall on a block.
Steve Houghton making the initial contact on touchdown. Eddie Brown, Albany's all-time leading scorer. The Firebirds lead it by 1. 9:40 remaining here in the first quarter. Brown backing off and now gathering steam across the line of scrimmage in motion. Runs that curl pattern. He's got it at about the 24-yard line now into Iowa territory before finally being stopped. I think that's going to be there all night long. They defensive backs, not just Iowa's, give Brown, as well they should, all kinds of respect.
You know, they're doing. Here's a 17-yard game, but last year, we're going to talk about when these 2 teams played. You see, he's got a cushion there. Last year, when these 2 teams played in the playoffs, Iowa came up and jammed Eddie Brown and took him right out of the game. And we talked to John Gregory. He planned to do some of the same thing in this game, is to jam him a little bit and take him out of the game. Looking at those stats, so he hasn't been taken out of many games.
That is the definition, that graphic was, of prolific. The quick toss out to Chad Dukes. Gain of about 3 or 4. Spencer on the stop.
Now they try to quick out with the running back, Chad Dukes, letting the defensive end go. Todd Harrington for Iowa did a great job staying at home. He was out in the corner on coverage, let the receiver go, saw the quick pass and was able to make the stop.
And Mike, it's really difficult to put these numbers in perspective. Just 3 years, 99 touchdowns, close to 4,000 yards receiving. That's how good this man has been and how unstoppable. 2nd and 7 for the Firebirds at the Iowa 21. Pawlawski in trouble. He'll have to throw this one away. Dave Bush, the man applying the pressure, number 65.
That's good heads-up play by Pawlawski, getting rid of the ball. He was in the grass. Bush couldn't bring him down. Before this play, Pawlawski was 5 for 5. This is first incompletion of the night. You'll see Bush come right up the middle, just pushing Volvo back, trying to drag him down. Pawlawski keeps his head to throw the ball out of bounds. One of the differences between Perez last year, a pocket passer, and Pawlawski this year, he has a little more movement and can do things just like that, getting rid of the ball.
3rd and 7. Firebirds looking to keep this drive alive. Brown in motion left. Ball caroms away from Pawlawski. I believe his teammate Chad Dukes, was he on top of it? No, there's a man underneath Dukes. Iowa has recovered, so a costly turnover.
Pawlawski had the chance to just fall on it, and what he tried to do, you'll see he tries to scoop it to get the first, doesn't get a handle on it, and fumbles it again. Looks like Chris Spencer or John Moten are the ones that came up with it. Pawlawski should have just fallen on the ball, could have tried for the field goal, but you know what? That's an instinctive play. He tries to pick the ball up, tries to get that 7 yards for the first down, just doesn't get a handle on it. Tough to blame the kid on that one. Maybe next time, though, he just keeps possession so they can try for the field goal.
Still a turnover, and Iowa takes over at their own 23. Warner, the screen pass. Wide open, Andre Allen into Firebird territory. Allen, the rookie out of Northern Iowa.
This is a great play. They're running everybody off. All the receivers will be to the left of the screen. You'll see Allen just float back to the middle. Let all the defensive linemen go. Here's Allen all by himself. When the leading rusher tied with John Moten, his teammate, for the leading rusher in the league, you get him the ball in open space, and that train wreck's going to cause some damage.
Allen, a Division I AA All-American at Northern Iowa. Played a season with the London Monarchs of the World League of American Football. Warner rolling to his right. Carlos James kicks over a pylon. Incomplete.
3rd and 2.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go right. 46 Powell. Unset.
So Kurt Warner calling the shots now. 3rd and 2 for the Barnstormers. That little underneath shovel pass. Willis Jaycox may be very close, and he's got the first down.
Yeah, he fell on the ground, hit the ground before it, but there was nobody around him, so he just crawled and got the first down. Good play on his part. The little scat back, 5'8", 185-pounder. He's not going to knock anyone over, so he's looking for the holes to get to. Tried to break it outside, fell down, but say, hey, no one's touched me. I'm going to keep scrambling.
5:03 remaining here in the first quarter. Albany leads 7-6. Warner's pass to Jaycox. Complete, and then Jaycox breaks a tackle, breaks another one, and he crosses the plane of the goal line. Touchdown, Iowa.
Another quick slant, letting the receiver do what he can after the play. Andre Allen, you're going to see number 10. I don't know if we can see it. Cuts down right there. You see the lineman go down, so he can't get out. Bad tackling on the part of Albany, not wrapping up. Another bad tackle, got your head down. So you not only get a bad tackle with your head down, you're going to get hurt. Jaycox able to go over the top of that for the score.
So Iowa, after trailing early, has jumped out in front, courtesy of an Albany turnover. After that touchdown, they now lead 13-7. Back with more in a moment.
See the wide angle of this play on Iowa's score. Look at Andre Allen on the right of your screen is going to chop down the defensive line because it's an in slant. As he misses the tackle, see Jaycox, here comes Mcleod with his head down. Mcleod coming back off a shoulder injury, and we talked about that. How tough would it be to tackle and get your shoulder ready to hit again? And right there, the form wasn't too well.
Mike Black set to kick off. As you look at the Iowa scoring drive, just 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Jaycox, who held out for a little more money, missed the first game of the season, saying, "Coach, see, I told you I was worth it." Michael Baker fields the ball underneath one of the crossbars down there. He's able to get it out to the 3-yard line. Leonard Conley on the stop. Iowa's Iron Man of the game last year in the Arena Bowl finals.
Well, we talked about possessions in the
strong trade right. S zoom. 30 S slant. Alma, ready?
There's that slant. Charley Davidson, the receiver.
Again, when you have a quarterback a little inexperienced, these are nice routes, slants, let your wide receiver do the work, a little bit of a cushion, and then you see how much they can get after the play. These are good, safe calls, but I guarantee you, when you have Eddie Brown, you're going to go vertical. And right now, these slants are setting up the Iowa defense.
And with the exception of that fumbled snap, Mike has been exceptional tonight, 6 of 7. See if he was able to get the Barnstormers to jump offside because of inflection.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
You know, both sides moved. It's just going to be a matter of who they're going to call. The defensive line moved and an offensive lineman moved. So it's up to the officials to decide who encroached first.
That's the way to play it safe.
Ball cleaners, the official dry cleaner of the Albany Firebirds.
Riding the picket fence.
Offside against Iowa.
Just what I called.
After all that conference time?
Yeah. Well, here's what happened. You see their line jumps first, and then number 91 for Albany jumps also. So it's all right. That was Ernest down. All right, who drew who offside? Right now they're saying Iowa broke the plane, so they get the 3 yards against them.
1st and 7 now for the Firebirds at their own 17-yard line. Brown's motion gives them 3 receivers to the right. Again, that little curl pattern into Iowa territory. The Barnstormers can find no remedy for it. Another 1st down.
You watch Eddie Brown run these routes. He just runs straight ahead. And we talked to Coach Mike Daly about this. He tries to run right up on the defender. In this case, it's Todd Harrington. And then turn on him, and you see Harrington 4 or 5 yards off when Brown makes his cut. They've got to do what they did to him last year. Get up, jam him, and disrupt him a little bit.
Not only run right on top of the defensive backs, but step on their toes.
Right.
First and 10 at the Iowa 24. Pawlawski to Eddie Brown again. And I'm starting to wonder, Mike, when John Gregory, the coach of the Iowa Barnstormers, is going to tell his defensive backs, hey, we've got to press this guy.
Yeah, right now they're not. Look at all the room he's got. I mean, there is nobody around him. He's just standing there with all kind of time. You don't want to let a guy of this caliber get the ball with that much of a cushion. You're right. I mean, they have got to get up, mix it up a little bit, get up, jam him, play off of him, disguise some coverages. Right now, he's having his way with him.
5 receptions, 62 yards, another 1st down for Albany. And Brown in motion. Pawlawski looking for him all the way, but this time, great. That was a coverage sack there on the part of the Firebirds. Andre Allen was there, the first to reach Pawlawski.
You called it
Also, Vernon Brout
You called it right. This was a coverage sack. See, Andre Allen has the time to get the rush, but down at the other end of the field, Hiawatha Pfeiffer was guarding Eddie Brown, and as you said, Pawlawski looked for him the whole way.
Trade left, S zoom, 70 Storm PC. On one, ready?
Second down and 16 for the Firebirds. You listen to the call of Mike Pawlawski, Firebird quarterback. Pitch and toss out to Michael Becker. They get some of the ball, some of that yardage back. Time winding down here in the first quarter.
You know, they always talk about, all right, if you can stop the big gun, you got a chance, and that would be Eddie Brown. But Michael Baker, this kid had a great year last year in St. Louis before he came out one of the 4 players involved in the trade with Mike Perez, and he is really, really turning out well for Albany. He is another 6'2", 191-pounder, but he's got a lot of speed. And I tell you, if he's your second gun, he could be the first gun on most teams.
All Big East performer while with West Virginia University in 1993. Brown in motion again to the right. Pawlawski, the flanker screen to Davidson. Couple of nice little juke moves. Gets it inside the 10 down to about the 7-yard line. Is it enough for the first down? We'll find out, but only after the first quarter has expired. The Iowa Barnstormers lead 13-7. Back with more after this.
I mean, injuries are a fact of life in the world of sports. You have to deal with it.
We got a coffee scald.
Every time we put on a uniform, there's a risk. We know we can get hurt. You have to deal with the pain.
Jack?
To the NFL now, will the Jets be any more offensive?
I mean, the great ones play right through it.
15 Stanley Cups were decided.
And that's stuff legends are made of.
Oh. Second quarter about to get underway here at the Pepsi Arena, the place they call the Cage. Albany trailing the Iowa Barnstormers 13-7. And let's go back to the Arena Bowl semifinals a year ago when Iowa won 62-55. Kurt Warner was sensational. 6 touchdown passes. Mike Perez tried to counter, but he had pressure all day, Mike Golick.
Tough to win the game when you're flat on your back. Perez goes 84 touchdowns last year, but didn't help in this game as John Gregory celebrates going on to the final.
With Jim Foster, who will the inventor and founder of Arena Football, managing owner for the Iowa Barnstormers, and we'll be talking with Jim at halftime. Albany will attempt a field goal. This one about 27 yards away. Snap is low, kick is up, and it's good. Alezovic does the honors for Albany. Cuts the Iowa lead to 3. It's 10 after the field goal by Alezovic, Pete Alezovic of Albany, and a great glove save here by Mike Pawlawski.
Sure was. Even though it's not a huge rush here, the timing between holder and kicker is important, and Pawlawski does a nice job of scooping it, spinning those laces away, letting boy, I'm going to kill myself on that name.
Alezovic.
Thank you. Alezovic get the 3.
University of Michigan grad. There's head coach Mike Daly in his first season as head coach. But for the last 3 seasons, the offensive coordinator for the Firebirds, and all they did was average over 60 points a game under his tutelage. Black kicking off, or Alezovic kicking off for Albany.
Willis Jaycox tried to make a save, but it went out of the back of the end zone, tried to make a catch. Didn't get it.
Iowa leads on the scoreboard, but trails in the time of possession category. Not always meaningful. In fact, very rarely meaningful in Arena football.
Well, I tell you, we saw that last week with Tampa Bay and Orlando. And Orlando on the downside of all the stats, but the upside in the score. Here, the same, but Mike Pawlawski, you have to be impressed with him. 10 of 11 right now. Eddie Brown already with 5 receptions. This offense, which has been sputtering a bit, does seem on the cusp of breaking out. We'll see what Iowa can do to stop him.
Kurt Warner calling the shots for Iowa. The quick dump-off pass to Lamar Cooper into Albany territory. First down.
There's a smart play. You see Jay Cox, he came on the motion that backed off the defensive backs, so he got the quick pass to Cooper. Again, short passes, let the receivers, and I'll tell you what, Iowa has got some tough receivers in Cooper, in Spencer, in Jay Cox, and Conley. They are very, very deep. They can go to any one of them, and they can be a game breaker.
Second down and 1 for the Barnstormers. Warner has got the first down as he hits Jay Cox, but hitting Jay Cox was Larry Jones, Albany's best cover man. He leads the Arena League coming into this game, and passes broken up. That was a heck of a tackle.
Oh, here's Iowa's top receiver against Albany's top cover man. They say hello. The only way you can in football, with the face mask right in the chest. Larry Jones played in the Canadian League, one of the better cover men in Canada, and already here. Last year, 11 interceptions, and here, having another great start.
Jay Cox took the hit and picked up the first down. Moulton can't hang on to that pass. It's almost picked off. I guarantee you, he may have seen Larry Jones coming in his direction.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that he heard some footsteps here. Laid the ball up. He went for the tip. Look at the dad throwing the little kid up there. There you go. Go get that ball. You get to take it home. How about that dad just throwing his kid out there?
Hey, Dad, it's a free football.
Dad, go get it yourself.
If I could lift you, I'd throw you out of the booth. Get me one of those things. Warner going deep. Cooper. Boy, they can strike quickly. Larry Jones, after singing his praises, is beaten again by Lamar Cooper.
Chad Dukes taking down Kurt Warner. Warner throwing that, going down and sidearm. And it was right on the money. Great job by Warner, who is known for a scrambler, scored 7 rushing touchdowns last year, of coming out of the pocket a little bit, stayed in, and as he was going down, a nice sidearm throw for the score.
Mike Black on to attempt the extra point. If he converts, it will increase the Iowa lead to 10. But he misses. But a great scoring drive engineered by Kurt Warner. This touchdown pass to Lamar Cooper. Barnstormers lead by 9.
Want to make painting easier? Change your roller to a Wagner cordless power roller. There's less mess, less hassle, and less bending over, because you control the flow of paint. So you can just keep on rolling. In fact, with the power roller and its accessories, you'll get professional results nearly twice as fast. It even turns cleanup into an easy job. So get a cordless power roller from Wagner and transform every room in your house.
In a world of change, who can you rely on? Perhaps a company that millions already do. A company whose expertise, vision, and innovation make it a world leader in insurance and investment, managing $450 billion in assets in more than 50 countries. AXA. Here you know us as the Equitable. AXA. Go ahead. You can rely on us.
We're seeing a lot of this type of repetitive use injury. We call it taco neck syndrome, TNS. The leading cause seems to be people's obsessive craving for the taste of Taco Bell tacos. With every bite, the neck is contorted to the side. The good news is, taco neck doesn't have to be debilitating. With a strict program of physical therapy, people can go on to lead normal taco-eating lives. You can't help but love the crunchy, spicy taste of a Taco Bell taco. But please, eat carefully.
Battle of Arena Football League heavyweights duking it out here at the Pepsi Arena in Albany. The Barnstormers of Iowa lead the Firebirds 19-10. And we've got boxing on ESPN2 tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern Time, a 10-round junior welterweight bout. Israel Cardona, 25-1 with 19 knockouts, taking on Charles Murray, 39-4-0 with 23 KOs. That's tomorrow night on ESPN2. Look at the Iowa scoring drive. Mike Golick.
Taking up close to 3 minutes, and you see, we talked at the top of the show how Iowa did it last week with the running game. This week, spreading the ball around to Jay Cox, to Cooper, to Spencer. Really have a lot of depth, a lot of talent on this team, knowing they can go to the run when they need to, but right now, short passing game is working until they need to stretch it like they did on that long touchdown throw.
The kick by Mike Black, fielded off the net by Eddie Brown. Again, in arena football, that ball very much alive. Once it caroms off the net. Tackled by John Moten, number 42. How good was Albany a year ago with Mike Perez calling the signals? These statistics would show a computer.
These are absolutely amazing. 62 points a game, 118 touchdowns. I mean, and this goes, a lot of it was Mike Perez and Eddie Brown. They played together for a few years. They had a great relationship, hoping that Mike Pawlawski can get that same kind of relationship with Eddie Brown.
11:54 remaining here in the second quarter. Pawlawski to Eddie Brown. They make it look easy. In the first 3 games of this season, the timing was not there. And then all of a sudden last week, Eddie broke open a little bit. And the quarterback wide receiver connection was starting to click.
See, again, he's got some room. Greg Eaglin, a few yards off. Eddie Brown, as you said, struggled for the first couple now. Just got his first 2 TD receptions last week. And again, 41 last year. You know he's got the potential in him.
And now he's lined up behind and now in motion. He was behind Charley Davidson. And they're using him as a blocker this time. And Chad Dukes, second-year pro out of Pittsburgh, and the Firebirds' leading rusher. The human bowling ball bowls his way into Iowa territory down to the 19-yard line.
Yeah, with Chad Dukes, there's not a whole lot of moves. You'll see not a whole lot of cutting. One cut back, and then it's, well, I'm going to put my head down. Y'all can just try and drag me down. Not a lot of style, but a whole lot of substance.
And another way the Firebirds use Eddie Brown in motion, and that time he blocked. The lead blocker on the play. Brown in motion again. Pawlawski looking for him all the way. He's in the end zone wide open. They can't stop this man. Last week we saw Orlando's Barry Waker get loose for 5 TDs. Eddie Brown could have one of those kind of nights.
Well, this is the kind of offense I think these Albany fans are used to seeing. A familiar sight right there. Eddie Brown in motion. Hiawatha Pfeiffer has him this time. They've been trading off with Harrington and Pfeiffer. Makes a nice outside movement, cuts inside. Pfeiffer can't close on him. Not a lot of closing speed there. Brown with the cut, and Pawlawski having a great game pass right on the money.
Pete Lezovic with the try for the point after. He's got it. Flags on the play, however.
Number 83, an outside rush.
So the kick stands, the extra point stands, and the Firebirds back in this thing. They were never out of it, quite frankly, but they're within 2. Iowa leads Albany 19-17, and Eddie Brown, it's time to celebrate.
Just what does it...
When I punch the clock, I'm a working machine. I got boots to do the job, got my Wolverines. I can take a wild jackhammer, rewrite miles of interstate. I can work like hell, never get the blues, 'cause I feel like heaven in my Wolverine boots. Wolverine door shocks, guaranteed comfort or your money back.
Hey, sports fans, Dream Street's got your ticket to the one sport that never goes out of season. Dream Street. Come meet our dream team. #1 in gentlemen's entertainment. And check out the sports action on the awesome 10-foot video screen. Either way, you've got the best seat in the house. Dream Street. Join us every weekday from noon till 2 for the only free lunch in town. And some major league desserts. So if you're ready for the pros,
are you ready for some Dream Street?
Just 4 minutes from Highland Mall off 290 East. Look for the billboard.
Going on here at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. The Firebirds trailing the Iowa Barnstormers 19-17. A reminder tomorrow on ESPN at 5:30 Eastern. Final round coverage of the Bell Atlantic Classic, the Senior PGA Tour. The leader, Bob Eastwood, at 5 under. He is trying to hold off the charge of John Bland and Bob Smith, who are 4 under par. That's tomorrow on ESPN at 5:30 Eastern. And Iowa trying to hold off the charge of this man, Eddie Brown.
Well, you see the scoring drives are getting shorter and shorter. Eddie Brown already with 7 catches and a touchdown. but it's being led by Pawlawski with 12 of 13 already.
Alezovic kicking that ball out of the end zone. Eddie Brown, his numbers prolific tonight. He's having an outstanding evening, the kind of Eddie Brown numbers we're accustomed to seeing. He holds Arena Football League records for points in a season, 308. Points in a game, 54. TDs in a game, 9. And TDs in a season, 51.
Here we go. We're going to go right. F motion. 70-83. On set. Ready?
Kurt Warner calling the shots for Iowa, trying to engineer a scoring drive of his own. That underneath stuff to Lamar Cooper has been working well for the Barnstormers tonight.
This is the second time Iowa's used it now. They're putting Cooper on the line, and that high motion is coming right next to him, so that's backing off the defensive backs. Again, that time it was Tony Williams, and it's giving Cooper the room to catch the quick slant. You know, they're going to do that one all day until Iowa comes up on him and forces him to change his route.
Cooper, the second-year pro from Wayne State of Nebraska. A little guy who can fly, 5'7", 170. He's flying now in motion, and Warner's looking for him. Pump fakes. He's got Jones over the shoulder catch, touchdown, but there are handkerchiefs on the AstroTurf. Oh, is that a perfectly thrown football?
Great throw. Flags on the play. I know the call, but I'm not going to say it.
Offside, number 9. Offside, number 9, Iowa.
Wide receivers in the Arena League try to time their motion so they're off the line of scrimmage at just the precise moment. Cooper that time, the touchdown receiver, across the line of scrimmage.
Boy, Cooper, he makes a great catch, but got to be sick. It's all coming back as he lines up off sides. See, Warner just lofted it in the air, letting Cooper run under it. All right, so Cooper lined up offside, and Chad Dukes, a linebacker, got into the secondary zone. We've talked about that. You can't break the plane of the defensive line. There has to be a tunnel. The side judge has to be able to see a tunnel between the defensive line and the linebackers. Chad Dukes went on one of the counts, moved up into the defensive lineman, so that's offsides in the secondary zone. Cooper lines up offsides, offsetting. We do it over again.
Yeah, let's watch Cooper again in motion. This time he's not going deep. He's trying to supply a little blocking for John Moten. And not a very stout effort, I might add.
Well, Iowa known for their running and blocking by the linemen, but blocking by the receivers, no.
Yeah, they actually. if I'm John Moten, I'm filing a complaint to my coach. I said, if you're going to have lead blockers, make sure they're over 200 pounds. Jay Cox in motion again this time. Warner's got him. Great hit by number 1, Derek Stingley. The name sounds familiar. It should. His dad, the great all-pro for the New England Patriots, Darryl Stingley.
See Jay Cox coming across the middle. He's in high motion. He'll just go up about 10, 5-10, cut across the middle. Stingley caught in the back pedal a little bit. Pass hung a little bit, gave Stingley time to come over. Mike Daly was telling us they really like this Derek Stingley. I think once he learns the nuance of the game, he's going to be one of the better cover guys. All-around athlete. He was in the Philadelphia Phillies minor league system in baseball for 3 years. The guy's got a lot of talent that they want to put together.
1st and 10, Barnstormers. Conley in high motion. Underneath, though, Jay Cox, and there's the coverage. Stingley played his college football at his dad's alma mater, Purdue.
There you see he's on Jay Cox. They've got Stingley on their best receiver. Jay Cox with the inside move. Look at Stingley looking right at him. Great job. He just looked at Jaycox, saw when Jaycox's hands went up for the ball, then he brought his arm up, because if he looked back at the ball, that means Jaycox would get a better shot at it. Nice job of timing. When Jaycox's hand goes up, Derek Stingley's hand goes up. He knocks the ball away. Nice catch by the kid in the sidelines. He gets another souvenir.
Second and 10 at midfield for the Barnstormers. Warner to Jaycox. This time in front of Stingley, first down, Barnstormers. You know, there are quarterbacks who throw better spirals, who look better standing in the pocket, but they don't do all the things that Kurt Warner does.
So Kurt Warner is a multi-talented quarterback, and I'll let you in on that in a moment. Here you see Jaycox again. Last time you saw Stingley up on him. This time he's backing up, giving him some room. Warner, an easy throw. You talked about Warner, right? He will stay in the pocket, or he will run. 7 running touchdowns last year. He's a big threat running the ball. That helps the other running backs open up their lanes in the middle.
On first and 10, Warner gives the ball to Andre Allen. He is stuffed by the middle of that Albany Firebird defensive front.
Let's go 341. Here we go.
John Gregory, head coach, offensive coordinator.
Stay right soft, I'll throw it for you.
You hear Warner again saying if they play soft, I'll throw it to you again. He'll be reading the coverage.
83-41. On one, Eddie.
Now he's going to be looking to see where they're covering him, who's up on the line. You see Albany's all up on the line tight.
He's got Jaycox. Touchdown, Iowa.
Well, it was Jaycox on offense, Stingley on defense. They were man-on-man about this whole drive. You saw Albany came up defensively that time, so the quick pass, as Kurt Warner talked about, wasn't there. So he hits Jaycox on the out. Beautiful throw. Look at low. Stingley's arm comes over the top of it. The pass is good and low. Jaycox lays out for it and scores. This is a beautiful throw. See Willis Jaycox here with the motion. Stingley trying to take away the inside. You see Jaycox go to the outside. That throw does it all. And they're going to go for 2.
And they are going for 2. This would put the Barnstormers up by 2. And they've got it. Leonard Conley with a 2-point conversion. And you just saw why Kurt Warner is Arena Football League's #1 quarterback. All-league quarterback in 1996. The catch one more time.
1 foot you need. Gets them both down just for insurance.
So every time Albany gets back in this thing, Iowa puts them down. And now they're down by 10. We'll return to the Pepsi Arena after this timeout.
Good eye, Uncle. Need a lift?
Nice car, kid. It's my Subaru Outback Sport.
Another Outback.
Same all-wheel drive traction as yours. Better gas mileage than a Cherokee Sport.
That's fine, but can she...
Alcorn or RAV4? No problem.
Smart boy. Must run in the family.
Outback Sport. The newest Outback from Subaru.
Israel Cardona battles Charles Murray tomorrow at 9:30 on ESPN2.
You are watching ESPN2's coverage of Arena Football, where the visiting Iowa Barnstormers are taking on the high-scoring Albany Firebirds at Pepsi Arena. Due to time constraints, we are moving ahead in our coverage. With 39 seconds remaining here in the second quarter, Iowa and Albany playing a great football game here. High scoring as usual. The man for Albany has been Eddie Brown tonight, trying to get his team on the scoreboard one more time before the half.
Well, these are great game numbers, let alone we've got 39 seconds left in the half.
And again, I don't know if it's by design, but Iowa seems to content to back off this guy and allow him to catch all the stuff underneath.
As they get in the red zone here, let's see if they start to get up and jam just a little more.
Third down and 2 for the Firebirds at the Iowa 10. The pitch to Chad Dukes. Oh, this guy's a load. Whoa!
Wow.
That is power running and power football.
Boy, that is a great play going into halftime to build a little momentum on a play like this. See Chad, nothing fancy. One cutback, missed tackle by Allen. He just puts his head down, keeps his legs going, spins a little bit. Next thing you know, he's in the end zone. You know, maybe some poor tackling on Iowa, but I give the credit to Chad Dukes on the run. A phenomenal run.
Another great scoop by Holder Pawlawski. Elezovic kicks it through. So Chad Dukes, a bit of power running in this game of high-powered offense and passing. He brings the Firebirds to within 3. 27-24, still 32 seconds remaining here to go in the first half.
Buy a case of Valvoline during our Big Race sweepstakes and get a $4 main rebate. Look for details on specially marked Valvoline motor oil, because if a $4 rebate doesn't move you, the grand prize Mark Martin race car will.
Well, not much of a crowd here today, but it should be a good game. All right, Stewart's batting 3.
Here, hold my Budweiser. I'm going to go find those guys.
All right, Wedman toes the rubber. Delivered. Whoa, a long drive to left field. That ball's going to carry. It's going out of here. There's one lucky fan out there, but he's got something in his hands. Stop the beer. What's he going to do? He's got to make his move. It's doesn't look good. Oh, that ball bounced about 20 feet off his head.
Please, just let go of the beer.
Let go of the beer, son.
Hey, I know big, and this Ace Really Big sale is gigantic. It's a huge opportunity to find big-name products like this and this at really small prices. So hurry down to Ace. It just doesn't get any bigger than this.
32 seconds remaining here in the first half, and a great game going on between Iowa and Albany, a 3-point Barnstormer lead. And on this Memorial Day weekend, take a break from the barbecue and join us first for Sunday Night Baseball, the game of the week. The Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, who define rivalry in the American League East. And then on Monday, a doubleheader, first the Baltimore Orioles versus the Yankees. That game starts at 1:15 Eastern time. And then at 4 p.m. Eastern, the return of Albert Bell to Jacobs Field. That ought to be something else as the Indians take on the Chicago White Sox. Elezovic's kick high and deep into the net. There'll be no return. An outstanding scoring drive by Mike Daly's Albany Firebirds.
You know, we've seen back-to-back first from Iowa, now from Albany. 7-play drives, close to 4 or 5 minutes. Finished up by Chad Dukes. Chad Dukes must have heard us at the top talking about the power of Iowa's running attack. He's got 3 rushes for 21 yards and 2 TDs already tonight. So I think he wants to show that Albany's got a bit of a running game, too.
Iowa trying for one more score. They've got 32 seconds to do it, and they can stop the clock here in the final minute of play. Carlos James out across midfield. Derek Stingley on the stop. The Barnstormers, first 4 possessions resulting in 4 scores.
You know, we talked about that. We talked about how important that is. On that 17-yarder, Carlos James does a nice job cutting back inside, knowing he can get out of bounds because the clock will stop on out-of-bounds plays in under a minute and a half, which is the situation we're in right now.
And one more touchdown, they would be a perfect 5 for 5 and lead by 10 going into the locker room. Conley! Leonard Conley making the grab, the 4-year pro out of Miami of Florida during his days with the Hurricanes and Coral Gables, a 4-year starter. Gain of 22.
Nice play, just straight down the middle of the field. He fell one way, the defender fell the other.
Great concentration on the part of Conley. You know, Mike, talking to the Iowa coaches, you get the sense that anything short of winning the Arena Bowl this year will be unsatisfactory. They want the whole enchilada.
Oh, absolutely. Iowa, they're the first true expansion team to host the second-round playoff. But, you know, they got to the Arena Bowl last year, so when you get that far, there can be no other goal. That should be the goal of every team. But when you're a few points away from winning it, that's got to be your only goal, nothing short of that. can be satisfactory.
And a look at the expansion teams that joined in 1995, and Iowa by far and away the most successful. 21-8 their record, and again, as you mentioned, Michael, an Arena Bowl finalist appearance in just their second year. Now they've got the ball at the Albany 5-yard line. Carlos James, high motion. Warner rolling right. Oh, he had Conley. Conley dropped the ball. David Mcleod on the breakup.
And you see the ability of Warner. Rodney Smith was coming right up the middle. You'll see the rush coming on him, his ability to get outside. Well, Rodney Smith got held too. But you see Warner scrambling. He buys himself more time, and that's why this team is so good. They're so balanced, running, receivers, and a quarterback who can stay in the pocket, who can scramble to throw or can scramble to run.
Second and goal to goal from the 5-yard line. Conley, motion. Warner rolling right. He's got Carlos James in the back of the end zone. Touchdown. Iowa has done it again. 5 possessions, 5 scores. But a flag on the play.
That's going to come back, holding on Iowa. Comes with 6 seconds to go in the half, so Iowa still will have another play.
Holding, number 10, Iowa, 8-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
It's on Andre Allen. Nice throw by Warner to James. The back of the end zone. Andre Allen, the guilty party. It's like he just tackled the defender.
It's easy to get mixed up in arena football. You know, just a series ago, Andre Allen was playing linebacker. Probably forgot that he was on offense. Andre, I don't blame you. Second and long now. Touchdown to Conley. Warner is sensational. He threw that ball when Conley made his break.
And this is the second time. We saw the long pass a few plays ago. Stephen Jerry again on the coverage, got turned around a couple of plays ago, and here gets beaten on the out route by Conley. A nice throw by Warner, his 5th touchdown pass of the half. See Stephen Jerry absolutely beaten on the out route, and a great throw to the outside. No chance for an interception, nobody near him.
Black with the point after. It's up, it is good. So with 1 tick left on the clock here in the first half, the Iowa Barnstormers are a perfect 5 for 5, and they now lead Albany 34-24. Black's legs starting to wear out now after all those extra point attempts.
While in Lake Alfred, Florida, Mike and Lawrence wondered how the wakeboarding Bonifay brothers got to be so good. No wonder. In these waters, the chances of getting taken by an alligator are exactly 50-50. If a gator does get you, they take you down. And they stuff you in the mud, under a root, and nobody can find you because you're down there and you're rotting, stuck in the mud, under a root.
The X Games, coming in June.
A total of 58 points have been scored by both teams, and they're still, well, it may be meaningless, a second less, but in arena football, anything can happen. Iowa has scored on all 5 possessions.
That was a big score there, taking away the momentum Albany had built up. But hey, you got a second left. You got Michael Baker back there with a chance to get the ball. You never know what can happen.
Iowa's quarterback, Kurt Warner, all-league selection a year ago, has thrown 5 touchdown passes in the first half here. You're right about Baker. Almost breaks one. Conley trips him up, and that will do it. What a first half we have had here at the Pepsi Arena, the place they call the cage. Albany has played well. They've scored 24 points, but Iowa has been better. They've scored 34, 5 TDs.
Talked about possessions. As you said, Iowa scored on every possession. Albany with the turnover, Pawlawski in the fumble. That's been the difference.
Albany coach Mike Daly joins us now from the sidelines down on the field here at Pepsi Arena. Mike, your offense has done everything you've wanted it to do tonight, but the story has been Iowa and Kurt Warner. How How do you stop these guys?
Well, they're doing a great job right now, and we just got to play a little tougher on defense. Hopefully we can tighten up a little in the secondary and stop them the second half.
You know, last year Iowa stopped Eddie Brown by coming up and jamming him. They have not done it yet today. Plan to keep going with him, but you got a couple other great ones, especially in Baker, to maybe offset.
Yeah, we're trying to spread it around a little bit and get a read on what they're doing. They're doing a great job mixing their coverage. So we'll see what we have the second half, come out and try to find a weak link.
Well, no doubt you'll find it, Michael. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Daly in his first year as head coach for the Iowa.
This league has been going on now. Is it everything you imagine?
This game tonight is exactly what I imagined. This is a great football game between two very balanced, very potent, high-speed teams.
You know, this league has established itself as a great league right now. Pull out your crystal ball now and tell us what is going on in the future of arena football.
Well, I think the future's good. We've got some very stable ownership now. We're growing in some very good markets, some new teams coming in next year in some great markets like Miami and LA, and I'm excited about the future. I think it's got to involve more national television, ESPN, and maybe some other television, and certainly more national sponsorships. We've got to do a better job at the league level of selling this nationally, but we're getting to the point where we can do that because we're getting that broad exposure nationally that we need to do it.
Now, you were commissioner until 1992. You gave up those reins to take over, you know, the ownership here. A little less headaches instead of being the commissioner?
It was fun putting the league together, but I love running this ball club and putting it together. It's so exciting, and I went back to my home state of Iowa, and, you know, people just love this thing back in Iowa. We're really become the Green Bay of arena ball. You've been there. I guess you're probably there next week. Are you going to wear a cow suit next week or come as a pig, you know?
I'm going to wear an udder. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Let's go back up to you, Mike.
Mike Golick, please spare us next week. We do have the Barnstormers against the Anaheim Piranhas.
Well, and then came back and got it back. So I'm pretty darn proud of the guys. You know, this I think this very first part of this half is very important. We need to go out and show the extreme intensity that we've shown in the first half.
Is there any way to contain Eddie Brown?
Well, he's just a heck of a player. I don't know. We've run a lot of different coverages on him and so on. The only thing we're trying to do is slow him down and make it tough for him to get in the end zone.
Okay, Coach, best of luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Iowa Barnstormer coach John Gregory. As we look at the standings, the Southern Division, Orlando and Tampa Bay tied. Both winners last night. They're tied at 3-1. In the East, New Jersey, the surprise story, as we mentioned, the Red Dogs, big winners over the New York City Cats last night. That game in New Jersey. Out west, Arizona and San Jose, the winner they're playing tonight, moves atop the standings in the Western Division. And in the Central, obviously, Iowa controls its own destiny if they win tonight over Albany. Right now, things are looking good. They lead 34-24 when we return to the Pepsi Arena. Scores and highlights, actually highlights from the first half. Stay with us, everyone.
Just what?
When I punch the clock, I'm a working machine. I got boots that do the job, got my Wolverines. Lay a span of bridge, make that molten steel pour. I can build a better country and keep coming back for more. I can work like hell with my hands and my tools, 'cause I feel like heaven in my Wolverine boots. Wolverine Dirt Shocks, guaranteed comfort or your money back. Work like hell, feel like heaven.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Saturday night races at Longhorn Speedway.
Stay with him, kid. Take him inside.
And Pete Stewart takes the checkered flag. Catch Saturday night racing at Longhorn Speedway, 6501 Highway 183 South, Austin, Texas, 243-1122.
Arena, Albany, New York, the hometown Firebirds trailing the Iowa Barnstormers, who we'll see next week on ESPN2 in our arena football game of the week. Barnstormers lead by 10. The man who has pulled the trigger, all-league quarterback Kurt Warner. This was one of 5 touchdown passes. This one to Lamar Cooper, number 9, the fastest player on the Iowa team. Albany tried to counter with their own superstar, his name Eddie Brown. Iowa gave Brown all the underneath stuff all day long. He was able to score once, however, in this touchdown reception from Mike Pawlawski is having a sensational night. But Albany trails, as I mentioned, by 10, 34-24. We take a look at what went down in the first half, Mike Golick.
Well, you know, again, you see both quarterbacks having phenomenal games. You see Pawlawski 16 of 18, Warner 13 of 18, and they have really been the story. We talked about the big gun for Albany, Eddie Brown. He's having a great day, and the depth that Iowa has in 3 or 4 receivers. But tonight, it's got to be the night of the quarterback. They are the guys that are getting the ball to the superstars and letting them make the plays.
You know, coming into tonight, they were one of the top teams in the league in scoring defense, allowing just 30 a game. Already in the first half, they have given up 34. Shows you the caliber of team that Iowa has.
Well, I hope the guys aren't getting paid by defensive statistics at the end of the year. They're getting crushed tonight.
Iowa is certainly a much better ball club than Florida, Milwaukee, and San Jose, the 3 teams that Albany played to start this 1997 season.
And Iowa comes in averaging 48 points a game, so they are a high-powered offense. And Albany is having their defense has been carrying them so far this year, but Iowa's showing, and they're doing it in all facets. Running game, Kurt Warner rolling and throwing, rolling and running. Again, they're probably the deepest, most talented team in the league and most versatile.
Well, they'll need one defensive stop, Albany will, probably more to win this football game. They have the disadvantage of kicking off first. Pete Lezovic from Michigan, the University of Michigan, kicking it off. And Jake Cox catching it off the rebound net and taking it up the middle across the 20-yard line to the 23. We talked about Iowa quarterback Kurt Warner. Mike Pawlawski having a fine game for Albany. Only 2 incompletions tonight. The difference, obviously, the number of touchdown passes.
Absolutely. We talked about Pawlawski throwing shorter passes, which is why he doesn't have as many touchdowns. Warner going a little deeper. That's why you get 5.
Oh, there's the tight end screen to Tony Catchings. One of the rare times you see the tight end catch the ball.
Got to be very tough for a lineman when he hears his number called to keep himself calm walking to the line of scrimmage. You see, they'll let the defensive lineman go. Offensive lineman will come out, get in front of Catchings, let him block. There you see Tony Williams, 185 pounds of him, trying to throw his mass in front of the 270-pound Catchings. Just kind of bounced off.
Iowa second and an inch. Oh, there's Jaycox again. Willis Jaycox. Nice corner move, but a flag on the play.
Oh, Warner Clapton looks like it's going to go against Albany.
Number 1, Albany, decline, touchdown.
Derek Stingley called for offside. Obviously, they'll decline it. Another nice pitch and catch with Kurt Warner and his receiver. 6th touchdown pass of the night. He is on the money. We talked about the specialty of Albany's defense, too. Their defensive backs, their closing speed, their ability to break up passes, not working tonight at all.
Mike Black on to attempt the extra point. It is up. It is true. And so Iowa wastes little time after getting the second half kickoff. 6 possessions tonight, 6 scores. They lead 41-24. And hey, the second half just underway. We'll be back with more.
Face it, we're a nation of feel-gooders and have-funners. We'll pursue happiness just about any way we can. And that's cool with us, you know, whatever makes you feel good. So drink up, friends. We're here for you. After all, that's why we put the fruit in Fruitopia, to make you feel good. So, keep doing what it is that you do, and we'll keep doing what we do. Fruitopia. We just want to make you feel good.
Wallace P. Thorndike III lived a full and splendid life. He will not only be remembered as a great businessman, but as a husband who gave his dear, sweet wife, Courtney, all that a 97-year-old man can give. So today we say goodbye to Wallace and honor his last request as he travels to that final destination in the sky.
Gee, she's taking this hard. She really loved that car.
Has been called. And you know that road is
Gregory, Iowa coach, has to be most pleased with what has gone down so far. The same probably cannot be said for Mike Daly, Albany's coach. Offensively, the Firebirds playing well enough, but he is having a dickens of a time trying to figure out how to stop the Barnstormers on offense. Mike Black set to kick off from his own goal line. First possession coming up for the Firebirds on offense here in the second half. As you saw the time of the Iowa drive, they struck quickly in 1 minute and 5 seconds. Boy, off the crossbar, that bar is live. Charley Davidson running for his life in his own end zone.
Charley Davidson
gets it out to the 1.
He covered about 25 yards from side to side. Ended up on the 1-yard line. Again, it's a live ball off the net. The kicking team has to give the receiving team room to catch it. But once it hits the ground, it is a live ball. This coming off the ground then. You see Williams just looking for somewhere to run.
That one actually carried him off the iron. That's why the squirrely bounce. Charley Davidson now from kick return man to wide receiver. Firebirds, Eddie Brown in motion. Pawlawski trips and the ball batted by Moten. Incomplete. And a flag on the play. So an inauspicious start to the second half for Albany.
Illegal defense, number 95, Iowa, drifting in.
See the call on Tony Ketchings. Drifting in, they have to stay to the outside when they rush. No stunt, anything that could turn into a line stunt at all. He has got to line up either head up or on the outside shoulder of the offensive tackle. He has to rush to the outside. He gets caught drifting in, coming inside too much. That's a penalty. They have to keep their lanes in rushing in arena.
This game happens so quickly, it's very difficult for the officials, and then calls like that one make it even tougher. Brown in motion and now crossing across the middle. Pawlawski looking for him, and he can't hang on. It's one of the rare drops by Eddie Brown.
Let's go. Strong. Let's go. I left, wing loop, 60 pig.
Got to be fun for a coach in this league, Mike, to call your shots from the sideline. You're not up in a press box anywhere.
60 pig. Oh, absolutely. Right on the field. I mean, they can see, they know exactly who they want to go after. They can see on Iowa how they're covering, who's tired, who's not. They get a close-up view of it and can make the call off of it.
Second down and 10. Ball at the Albany 6. Pawlawski going for the works here. He's got Eddie Brown underneath. Oh, great concentration. Todd Harrington was on Eddie's back, in his face, had perfect coverage, great coverage as a matter of fact, and Brown never gave up on the football.
Great, absolutely what you said. Kids at home watching this is how you make a reception. Unfortunately, he ended up catching it out of bounds, but watch how he stays with it. Keeps his eye on the ball, comes down with it, but both feet are out of bounds before he has control, so it's an incompletion, but great concentration, as you said, to hang on to that ball. I think Albany at this point making a bit of a mistake. I mean, they are looking every time at Eddie Brown. They are not distributing to the rest of the receivers right now, so they can lock up on Eddie.
And if you go back to their first series when they had success, first 2 series actually, they found Mike Baker quite a few times. Number 2, they're going to Brown again. This one across the 15-yard line. Was it good enough for the first down? Albany head coach Mike Daly, he knows this game inside and out. He's in his first season as Firebirds head coach, but for the previous 3, he was offensive coordinator, and before that, defensive coordinator. Began his AFL career as a line coach under Mike Hohensee with Washington, the Commandos.
The Commandos. He has been with his Albany team since its existence, so even though it's his first year as head coach, he knows this club inside and out. When he took over this year, there were no philosophy changes. He kept it the same as Mike Hohensee had it, and they just want to keep continuing their upward climb from there.
Really enjoyed talking to him last night. He's bright, and when he talks about X's and O's and all the intricate things you can do and about the future of this game and some of the things we might see in the future, his eyes lit up.
He's a guy that wakes up in the middle of the night writing down plays on a piece of paper next to his bed.
All right, no punting in arena football. 4th and 1, and so they'll go for it. Pawlawski, however, I don't think he got it. John Moten was there to stuff it.
Never had a chance from the start. Never had a chance from the start. Moten almost probably sensing it was a quarterback sneak. You see Moten, the linebacker, just filling right in. And actually, Pawlawski goes ahead of his lead blocker, and Chad Dukes never lets Chad Dukes block on Moten. Moten right there to make the tackle. That play really doomed from the start. Really didn't seem like it had any kind of sink to it at all.
And now the bad news, Iowa takes over on the Albany 15-yard line, and look what they've done so far tonight. And this, the best initial possession they've had. The draw play to Moten. Nobody's going to touch him. He goes in scot-free. The Barnstormers have done it again. 7 for 7.
15-yard run by Moten. Albany's got to come up with something better on defense. I tell you, on this run, Willis Jaycox, we talked about the receivers blocking before. This time, Willis Jaycox was the receiver blocking on receiver, and he did a great job keeping him off of Moten.
And you saw Chad Dukes, the linebacker, actually take himself out of the play trying to fill one of those gaps. This is why the Iowa running games work. So you got Kurt Warner, who's got all kinds of pass patterns with his wide receivers, and then just when you're primed for that, it hits you on the ground. A touchdown run of 15 yards by John Moten, and Iowa now the Albany Firebirds picking up where they left off a year ago in the Arena Bowl semifinals when they beat Albany 62-55 to advance to the Arena Bowl to play Tampa Bay. Iowa has been clicking on all cylinders tonight. 7 possessions, 7 scores. The kick by Mike Black is taken by Michael Baker. Had a chance to break it before Todd Harrington knocks him out of bounds at the 20-yard line.
Well, now we'll see how Albany responds. Mike Pawlawski in the first half, we saw 16 of 18. This half so far, 0 for 4. I'm in the last drive, I'm sorry, 0 for 4. You see, again, he's looking for Eddie Brown all the time. That's the man he's trying to. They need to spread it out, as was successful early in the game when Michael Baker was used a little more. Right now, they're just looking right to Eddie Brown to do it all. They're down by 3 touchdowns and a field goal here. They can't try and get it all back in one shot. They need a little some possession receptions right here.
1st and 10, ball resting at their own 20-yard line. Michael Baker now the motion man. Pawlawski has to scramble. He's got Charley Davidson down along the right sideline. And we've got a touchdown and a cartwheel. Oh, yeah. Style points for that TD. 29-yard touchdown reception by Charley Davidson. And a lot of credit has to go to Mike Pawlawski, who scrambled to his right and bought enough time to find the open man.
Yeah, he hung in the pocket. They had all the receivers going deep, obviously. That's why I'm up here, and Mike Daly's down there coaching as far as possession receptions. He sends his guys deep. Pawlawski said, as you saw, bought him some time. Boy, nice flipping after that.
I hope some officials from the United States gymnastics team are looking on. Charley Davidson not only catches the touchdown pass, but he sticks the landing. Trying for 2. Pawlawski looking for Eddie Brown. He's got him. So that's just what the doctor ordered. 8 points, and 8 points in a hurry. And now they only trail Iowa by 16. Charlie, I love you, man. Great stuff. Laura Davies and company. Pete Elezovic kicking off for the Firebirds. Jaycox can't handle it. It'll go out of bounds. Touchback.
Let's go back to the 2-point conversion. Eddie Brown is going to be in the corner of the end zone. You'll see Todd Harrington. He'll come into your screen right there. He gets caught coming up on Pawlawski. That leaves Eddie Brown wide open in the corner of the end zone. When Pawlawski started a little bit of a roll, Harrington came up thinking maybe he's got to stop a run there. Leaves Eddie Brown wide open in the corner.
Well, we talked to the coaching staff yesterday. The rule of thumb in arena football, score on 80% of your possessions. That's exactly what has happened tonight when you combine both teams. But Iowa is working on 100% night tonight. 7 for 7. And they start out strong again on this drive. Warner there to Lamar Cooper.
Again, Warner spreading it around. Cooper, Spencer, Jaycox. I mean, they're all getting in on the action. And when you have 3 or 4 receivers that you can count on, it's gonna result in exactly what's happening. A touchdown on each possession, where Albany finally went to somebody other than Eddie Brown, starting to amount somewhat of a comeback.
Well, the Albany defense is going to have to step up and accept the challenge here. They need 1, 2, 3 stops, any kind of stops. Almost impossible when you've got a tough guy like Warner there. He invited those defensive linemen to come up into his face and waited at just the last moment. Man, that was beautiful.
Heads up play too, a great rush.
Let's go. Can you hit Willis on the hot on an S option?
Maybe.
Here we go. We're going to go trips right, S motion, 80 S option, 31. On set, ready?
Before Warner called the play, he was talking to head coach John Gregory. Do you think you can hit Jaycox? Let's watch number 85. There he is. He's got the ball across midfield. They really have Albany off balance.
Well, what they're doing is Warner's coming to the line and reading the defense. He sees Albany's defensive backs off. He throws the quick route just like that. You see no defensive back in the picture, so he's reading as he comes up. Also, they're using that high motion, and right next to the receiver, that's usually the man next to the high motion receiver who's getting the quick slant. Great job of Kurt Warner reading how Albany is covering.
Jaycox having an Eddie Brown night. 83 yards and receptions, 3 touchdowns. This one to Jones, however. Carlos James, I should say. Carlos James, the third-year pro from Iowa.
And he should have had that one.
And for Mr. Warner, 7 touchdown passes.
Just a little bit of a tip at the end of that one. James couldn't hang on to it.
And I stand corrected. I was blinded. I didn't see that he had dropped the football. So it should have been Kurt Warner's 7th touchdown pass.
First time, mark it down, the third quarter. It's the first time Warner's been knocked down.
Oh, he's got Andre Allen underneath. And Albany's undersized defensive backs, no match for this steamroller that weighs 245 pounds.
See, what they're doing now is they're letting the defensive linemen rush. They're sending the wide receivers deep, and they're just flipping it right to Andre Allen, and nobody in front of them but defensive backs. And they're 10, 12 yards down the field because the wide receivers are running deep patterns, taking them off the ball.
Stephen Jerry, the man who made the stop on Andre Allen. 1st and goal. Warner, he goes down to the artificial carpet. Flags on the plate, tripping over his own man, perhaps. Jerome Brown was there for Albany.
Defensive holding, that'll be yards and an automatic first down. Yeah, Warner looked like he tripped coming out of there.
Number 4, Albany, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Just what the Firebirds didn't need.
Stephen Jerry, number 4, you'll see come across your screen. On your left, he's got a hold of the shoulder pads.
Had Leonard Conley all wrapped up.
Happened after Warner fell down. Interesting. They still call when the threat of a pass was over.
1st and goal on the 3. Iowa getting their 8th consecutive score. This has been easy pickings for Kurt Warner and company. Got a little melee going on between David Wittoo, number 55 for Iowa, and Rodney Smith of Albany.
Well, here you see the touchdown. Kurt Warner again rolling. He can either run, he can either throw. He's a double threat there. He stays to throw, so he gives his receivers more time to get open. And there's Conley with his 2nd TV catch of the night.
Well, I don't know if they keep records for consecutive possessions scored on. We're going to have to send our stat guy out to see if he can find that. 8 possessions, 8 scores for the Iowa Barnstormers. Mike Black kicks the extra point.
And the kick is good.
And with 4:24 remaining in the third quarter, Iowa 55, Albany 32, and a lot of time remaining in this game. Iowa has been a machine. 8 drives, 8 scores. Mike, there was the last one.
Well, I tell you, they've been putting together some good drives, which has been the difference. Albany scoring quickly when they score. Iowa, 5 plays, 7 plays, 6 plays, really putting together good drives, good consistent drives, and burning time on the clock.
Black to kick off. He'll have a sore right leg tomorrow, no doubt. Michael Baker back deep for the Firebirds. Reads the carom perfectly. Takes it out across the 10. Conley may have grabbed his face mask.
Incidental face mask, number 28, Iowa. 3-yard penalty tacked on, first down.
So you're starting to make the calls now, right on the money. You notice, and he gets it out to the 11-yard line before the penalty. When it's fielded cleanly off the net on kickoffs, you'll see they get pretty good returns coming off. Here you can look at the face mask. Right there, just kind of has a hand on the mask.
And he knew it too.
Yeah.
So Albany begins this drive at their own 13-yard line. Trailing by 23. And Pawlawski going deep for David Mcleod. Last year's Arena Football League Defensive Player of the Year. Back in the lineup for the first time since last year. Before the season began, he underwent a 3.5-hour operation on his right shoulder. Doubtful that he would play again this year, but he was finally cleared to play. And was open there for only a moment. Great defense provided there by Carlos James, number 5.
Carlos James, good job of breaking across the route. You talked about Mcleod, what he's come back from. They're counting on him big time, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Pawlawski on 2nd and 10 has got Mcleod on the offensive side of the ball this time into Iowa territory.
Well, he made such a good move, he knocked himself down. And again, when he goes down and nobody touches him, same as the outdoor game, he can get up and keep running. There you see Pawlawski spreading it around now. You saw Davidson with the touchdown catch, now going to Mcleod a little more. 16-yard reception, here's the move, makes another move, knocks himself down, says, well, nobody touched me, I'll get back up.
And now he is split wide to the right. Pawlawski goes to him again. Carlos James on the stop.
Left, wing, loop, okay, 38 slant.
I didn't have time. Strong rage left, wing loop, 38 slant. On 1, ready?
Number 82, Greg Hopkins in the game now for the Firebirds. He'll be the slot man to the left alongside David Mcleod. Eddie Brown, we haven't called his name at all in this second half. Pawlawski going to Hopkins. And he takes it inside the 5 down to the 3-yard line. So give the Firebirds credit, at least offensively. They are not cashing in their chips yet.
And here for the first time, Iowa came up and jammed Eddie Brown in the high motion. So Pawlawski just threw the slant right behind him to Hopkins. Iowa finally stepped up to slam on Eddie Brown. Pawlawski says, fine, I'll just go right over the top of you to my next man at the next level.
And lost in all the hoo-ha over Iowa's Kurt Warner. Pawlawski quietly having a fine evening himself. A little shuttle play inside to Eddie Brown, down to about the half-yard line.
Strong left, wing loop, wing toss left.
Wing toss or fullback? Okay, I'll talk up.
Got a player down. Heard the call. They're talking wing toss left, so there'll be the motion man in a wing. The toss to the left, which would be the wide side of the field.
Andre Allen, the man down for Iowa right now, wearing the Dennis Rodman. Back to the Iowa bench under his own power. Apparently all right. Albany knocking at the door. The toss to Leroy Thompson in the game tonight for the first time for the Firebirds. And he may have lost yardage there. John Moten makes the stop.
Boy, I tell you, what a fill by Moten. Running back's legs were tied up. Running back get down on his legs, and Moten just pops him right in the chest and drives him back. That's a great play by John Moten. He even must have lost a little bit of yards on that one.
Albany 3 of 5 on third down conversions. They've got a 3rd and goal here from the 1. The pitch to Eddie Brown. He walks in the end zone, stumbles a bit. And Albany keeps on fighting.
But that's the play they had called before the injury. They changed it, then went back to it this play. Good lead block by Leroy Thompson. Watch him take out Harrington right there. Eddie Brown just cuts inside of that for an easy score. That's how you draw him up.
So Eddie Brown has caught one for a touchdown tonight and now run one in. So you look at second-year pro Leroy Thompson.
Got a shot to carry the ball and get it in, got tackled, so they said, okay, you go back to blocking.
Run for office? Well, I'm sure he would garner more than a few votes. Albany loves their Firebirds. That one picked off the attempt for 2. But the third quarter expires. Todd Harrington, the man doing the job defensively there for Iowa. His Barnstormers on top 55.
Grant, it's time to look beyond basketball. I'm thinking made-for-TV drama.
You want me to be just like Tommy, Dad, but I can only be Jake.
After that, you go on tour with your book. Then you cut an album.
I'm a cowboy.
So, what do we think?
I'd never do something like that. Care for a Sprite?
When Quaker State sponsored Jeff Gordon finished first at the Daytona 500, maybe it was luck. And maybe when Quaker State teammate Terry Labonte came in second, it was just another good day at the track. But with Quaker State's Ricky Craven coming in third, you just have to wonder, is there something special in this team's blood or in their engines? Quaker State, the quality the Hendricks Racing Team demands, the quality your car deserves. Quaker State, a clean sweep at Daytona.
Here at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, the Iowa Barnstormers have been humming on all cylinders. They lead 55-38. And tomorrow it's Gentlemen, Start Your Engines, the 81st running of the Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in sport, live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It all starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, only on ABC. An avalanche of points. 13 in the first, 21 in the second, another 21 in the third. 8 possessions for Iowa tonight, 8 touchdowns. Mike Golick, I don't think arena football has seen anything like it.
And a lot of them coming off either the turnovers or loss of downs by Albany. Iowa taking advantage of it. Albany known for their defense this year. Mike Daly really needs his defensive crew to step it up and get a stop here.
Pete Elezovic with the kick. Willis Jaycox with the return, and face masking on that tackle. Charley Davidson.
Was it Charlie?
You're right, Chad Dukes, number 44. And that might have been flagrant.
Up, they're only going 3 yards. Boy, I tell you, if there was a time for a flagrant run, I think that would have been it. He grabbed it and hung on to it, and that's usually the deciding factor if it's incidental or a personal foul. Albany
John Gregory's team can do no wrong tonight.
And Albany needs a big, big stop here.
The quick slant to Spencer, number 83. The big man out of Iowa State, 6'4", 235, and a mismatch when he goes across the middle against some of the shorter Albany defensive backs.
Especially when he goes on the high motion and he gets that big frame moving.
80 S option, on set, ready?
You hear a lot of option routes. That's the receiver making his read off of what the defensive back gives him, and then Kurt Warner reading that also.
Lamar Cooper, the yes receiver. There he is. Oh, what a in stride. 7th touchdown pass tonight for Kurt Warner. You know, that worked earlier tonight, and I think it was called back. 41 yards.
This is right up the bubble. Albany looked like they were back in a 2-deep zone, a man on either side, nobody in the middle of the field, and that's exactly where Cooper went. Warner limping around a little bit, in a bit of pain after that one. He's done enough damage tonight already,
though. Oh, my
though.
goodness. Mike Black's kick is good. And for the 3rd time this season, they did it in their opener against Texas. They did it last week against Portland. The Barnstormers have gone over the 60-point mark. They now lead 62-38. We've got a full...
Viper armed. Protected by Viper. Stand back.
Viper. No one dares come close.
Will somebody please break up the Iowa Barnstormers? They have scored on every single possession. And Kurt Warner, a la Billy Kilmer, throws this one off his back foot.
Yeah, you know, it's somewhat of a spiral there. It's not the prettiest thing in the air or the delivery, the step forward. Like you said, sometimes sidearm, sometimes off his back foot. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but you know what? All that matters is that 62 points on the board. Doesn't care how the ball gets there as long as it gets there.
And I guarantee you that Lamar Cooper doesn't mind a bit. Hey, baby, that was right there on the fingertips. His 3rd touchdown tonight.
Warner in a bit of pain on the bench. You just hear his lips saying he's all right.
All-league quarterback a year ago and having an all-world night tonight here in Albany.
Mike Black, the kicker for Iowa, going to be asking for time and a half tonight.
We got Charlie in the game, not Matt. So.
Get in and out, okay?
Yep.
Let's go strong right, strong trade right, S zone, 70 Storm.
Strong trade right, S zoom, 70 Storm. On one, ready?
Well, you got to feel for Mike Pawlawski. He has done everything he has been asked to do tonight. The defense has just not held up their end of the bargain. Charley Davidson. Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect.
Wow.
Finally, something to cheer about for the Albany fans. That reception, 45 yards as Davidson catches it in stride.
Absolutely a beautiful throw. Pawlawski trying to do all he can for this team. This is a textbook pass right here. Doesn't break stride. Put the hands up. Doesn't even make a reach hard for it. Drops it right into Davidson. That is a great throw.
It was the play that Mike Daly called on the sidelines and sent out into the huddle with Mike Pawlawski. They'll go for 2 points here.
And as you said, he's doing all he can on the offensive side. They've got 40 more points on the board. The defense has got to step up.
I would say on 9 out of 10 occasions that would win you an Arena Football League game.
Come on in there.
Going for the 2. He's got 2 receivers in the same area. Hopkins runs into Charley Davidson. The ball overthrown, and an Iowa man down as well. That's Leonard Conley.
Yeah, that's when they had a couple of receivers together. This wasn't, somebody didn't run a right route when you have 2 receivers in the same area there. And you have a collision. 2 guys down.
And we'll check on the condition of Greg Hopkins and the Iowa man who was down on the play, Leonard Conley. We'll be back.
Just what does...
The try for 2, not as pretty.
No, collision here. Leonard Conley, his right knee gets hurt here. He limps trips off the field. Conley for Iowa. Whenever two receivers are in the same area, someone is running wrong out. They're not supposed to be there because that means two defenders are going to be there. Your chances of catching the ball are slim. They're overlooking at Conley's knee. It's his right knee they were looking at on the field.
Hopkins, the Albany player, walked off to the sidelines under his own power. Elezovic kicking off for Albany. The carom directly into the hands of Willis Jaycox, and some fine special teams play by Charley Davidson and Chad Dukes.
I'll tell you, Chad Dukes, he's for real.
Tonight's Old Spice storyline. Kurt Warner, 8 touchdown passes, 22 of 28, 247 yards. Iowa has scored on all 9 of their possessions, 17 of 18 in their last 2 games. The only time they didn't score was when they let the clock run out last week against Portland.
Absolutely scored on all 8 of their possessions last week. The 9th one, let the clock run out at the 5-yard line, or they'd be a perfect 2 games for 2 at this point.
Iowa has been unstoppable tonight. They have run the short stop across the middle with this man, Chris Spencer. They've run the deep stop with their quick wide receivers, Willis Jaycox and Lamar Cooper. They haven't been able to stop then. And when they're ganging up to play the pass, they send John Moten or Andre Allen loose.
Right, they're running them, or they're throwing little screens to them, letting the defensive line rush and running off the DBs. Right now, I have to say, the deepest team in all of arena football. They have so many weapons.
Jaycox, the motion man this time, and the man that Warner goes to. First down, Iowa. Well, what else is new?
As we've seen Albany go to Eddie Brown 3, 4, 5 times in a row, you haven't seen that out of Iowa. They've gone to Jaycox a couple times in a row, but most of the time they've been spreading it out. There you see Jaycox, he's been running around a lot of routes right over the middle, right in front of Derek Stingley, playing that deep middle of the field.
And isn't it ironic that last night Albany coach Mike Daly said one of the rule changes he'd like to see is the linebackers being allowed to go out of the box to cover the flat area. It would have helped them tonight, that's for sure. The Birds trail 62-44. 10:26 remaining here in the 4th and final quarter, and there's Moten on the loose now.
Greg Hopkins, tackle for Firebirds. Second down.
39 toss.
Well, you hear the play, 39 toss, nothing fancy anymore.
Trip left, X motion, 39 toss, on one, ready?
Let's see which Albany defender has the stamina to tackle Moten, big number 42. There's the toss. Flags all over the place.
False start on Vernon Broughton, but it'll come back 3 yards. Iowa probably looking to pound the ball now. Run it, throw it to your fullbacks, throw the quick slants, throw the quick routes, safe plays, not get any turnovers, and keep control of the clock.
Iowa beat Texas 63-45 in week 1 and week 3 last weekend. They beat the Forest Dragons of Portland 60-13 tonight. They put 62 points on the board. Kyle Moore jumping offside into the neutral zone, across the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Patrick! Let's just go trip plunge. Yeah. Here we go. You guys got 341 again. Trips left, X motion, 34 plunge, on set, ready?
Same formation. This time they're going to go right up the middle with Big John Moten.
34 plunge. Whoop, that is. And I believe his forward progress allowed him to get the first down.
Leroy Thompson with the stop. again, trying to control the clock. They got back to 3 yards from that penalty, so it was 1st and 10 again. Now 2nd and 11. Look for one of those possession passes now.
Mike, you've covered this game longer than I have. Has a team ever been, or a coach ever been accused of running up the score? I mean, obviously no lead is safe in this league.
No, there isn't. I mean, you have to score as much as you can, because we see just how quickly Albany has scored back on one play. It can happen so fast. No lead is really safe until there's 000s on that board.
1st and 10, Firebirds. Jake Cox in motion. Warner looking for him. Now he's got to look that man off. And now he's trying to spot Cooper. Can't do it. Overthrown, incomplete.
Kurt Warner, as he goes to the sideline each time to talk to John Gregory, limping. So he is definitely banged up a little bit, a knee or an ankle. Wants to stay in the game. You got to wonder if John Gregory will ever think about getting him out to risk some injury. You see he's a little gingerly on that leg. I'm sure he ain't asking to come out, though.
A year ago, in just their 2nd season, the Barnstormers made it all the way to the Arena Bowl. Lost to Tampa Bay. This year, they won it all. There's Wilcox's, or Warner's backup, I should say, Jared DeGiorgia. Will he get a chance to play? Maybe not. 7:46 remaining here in the 4th quarter. Kurt Warner has had a night to remember. 8 touchdown passes.
Are you hungry?
Yeah. How about something different?
I hear they have pitas at Wendy's.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Let's go to Wendy's and try the pitas.
In case you haven't heard, Wendy's has fresh stuffed pitas, like our Garden Ranch chicken with big tender chunks, chicken Caesar with shredded Parmesan, classic Greek with feta cheese, and our delicious veggies.
Where should we eat? I don't know.
They have pitas at Wendy's.
Thanks, Dave.
It's everything you love, stuffed in a big, warm, soft pita.
We're selling lots of pitas, Dave.
Word gets around.
Come on in and try one today.
Spicy food gives me heartburn, but I'm a caterer. I have to taste. If I don't block stomach acid fast, I can't work. Which blocks it faster? Tagamet HP 200. It has more acid blockers than Pepsid AC to block acid faster. Both are strong, but Tagamet's faster. And I can take Tagamet before work to prevent heartburn. Now, I focus on food, not heartburn.
Tagamet HB 200. More acid blockers help block acid faster.
7:46 remaining in the 4th and final quarter, and tonight has belonged to the Iowa Barnstormers. 62-44, and guess what, folks? If you haven't had enough of Kurt Warner and company, we've got them again next Saturday night on ESPN2 as they take on the Anaheim Piranhas. That's only and exclusively here on the Deuce. Affairs getting a little sloppy here in the final 7:46 of this 4th quarter. False start against the Barnstormers.
Calling a false start on Kurt Warner this time. Probably getting it for bobbing his head on a hard count.
Kurt with 8 touchdown passes tonight. Incidentally, the record held by Whit Taylor of the old Denver Dynamite. He's had 10. Numerous players have had 8 touchdown passes in the game. Among them, an old Albany quarterback by the name of Mike Perez, who is now in New York.
And he's thrown for 8 touchdowns 3 times.
Cooper, the motion man. And the man Warner is looking for, overthrown. Could this be the first defensive stop of the night for the Firebirds?
First time they've looked, again, Kurt Warner ends up on the ground. We haven't seen that a lot. Right, this is the first series, and we're in the 4th quarter. Well, Albany's defense is looking like what they've been coming into this game is the top-rated defense as far as giving up only 30 points a game.
And the front three of Ernest Allen, Kyle Moore, Jerome Brown, Bowick, Simonet, Valvo wearing out. Cooper again, the high motion man. Going for Spencer, and finally some pressure applied. Leroy Thompson, the man in Kurt Warner's face. And we've got the Barnstormers again next week against the Anaheim Piranhas. That game is at the barn, and I'm looking forward to my first visit. That's next Saturday night, only on the Deuce.
Bring your cow outfits going to the barn. It is an experience.
So a field goal attempt here. 35 yards. Mike Black, it is up. And it is wide to the right. The ball live, of course, off the net. Eddie Brown fields it. You can return missed field goals attempts as long as they don't touch the ground. Laundry all over the field. We'll find out exactly what it is when they were most prolific.
Now you're going to need to see Albany, as they did the last possession, go for the quick score.
Eddie Brown, short little twirl after the motion on the left side.
Again, it'd be interesting to see if they try and spread it out a little bit. Go to Davidson, go to Mcleod, or just go to Brown, try and keep manning him up, throw some short ones, and then try and get one over the top.
5:40 remaining in theory. Plenty of ticks left on the clock to get back in this thing. Pawlawski looking for Brown. Looking for Mcleod. David Mcleod back in the lineup for the first time this season. 41 yards.
Well, we saw it the last series, a long bomb to Davidson. This time, a setup with a short pass to Eddie Brown. Then they go deep to Mcleod, back from that shoulder injury. Pawlawski, I'll tell you what, he is throwing them on the money. Receivers don't have to do anything. They can have Velcro on their arms, and that ball's going to stick to it. It's right there.
Big league toss in any league. David Mcleod went to James Madison, where he broke all of Gary Clark's record, the great Washington Redskin wide receiver. Mike Daly said, hey, just having this guy back in uniform is going to give us a huge lift. Paid dividends there. Now he's going for Mcleod in the two-point conversion. Little fade and throwing it up for grabs. It didn't work, but the Firebirds have put 50 points on the board, and yet they trail by 12. However, with 4:28 remaining, they've got a chance. They've got a real chance. The way Jim Foster, the inventor, dreamed it would be. A lot of high-scoring action and a lot of touchdown passes like this one by Mike Pawlawski. And you talk about hitting a receiver in stride.
Pawlawski, the 1991 Pac-10 Player of the Year from California, hitting David Mcleod, who, again, you know, they've got Eddie Brown on offense, Michael Baker on offense. They were really hoping Mcleod would make a big difference on defense, where last year he had 11 interceptions, but he's making it on offense. Here you see, again, 2 plays. Last time, it was 1 play to Davidson. That's the way Albany needs to score right now. Still down by 12. They need him quick.
Perez cut his teeth also 2 seasons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this game not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. If the Albany defenders can come up with 1 more stop, couple more stops here, well, who knows?
Boy, both quarterbacks are having a whale of a game.
Alezevic's kick goes right through the goalposts. Touchback. They'll bring it out to the 5.
Let's go, D. Turn it up. Turn it up, D. Turn it up.
You know, that says it all right there. Coming in, they were leading the league, only giving up 30 points a game. 62, but in all fairness, Iowa, they come in 48 points a game, and they are high octane.
Kurt Warner, 8 touchdown passes tonight. The arena record is 10. The way he's been going, he could easily get that. He's looking for Conley. It's complete, a gain of 10 out to the 15.
Good to see Conley back after limping off the field with the knee. He's back, seems fine. You're right, Kurt Warner, you know, had the big lead. Now 12 points, not a safe lead in arena football. They're going to have to go for it.
Blue 9, 28. On set. Blue 9.
And then they're going to have to still make that move toward the end zone, try and pad this lead a little more.
Jake Cox wide to the right, Cooper wide to the left. The motion man is Conley. He's got it.
Tell you what I like also about Iowa, they have the play calls for the receivers. He's hitting them. The other receivers, this time was Carlos James, continues to block to try and help the wide receivers get some extra yards. You see the half roll left, quick pass again. You see Carlos James out there blocking on Mcleod. When you get your other receivers into the flow of that to block for your receiver, I'll tell you, great things can happen.
Conley, the motion man, running the post pattern in front of Stephen Jerry down to the 2-yard line.
Conley's been the man this series. 3 plays in a row. We haven't seen that much out of Iowa. They've been spreading it around. Conley running those crossing routes that time on Jerry. Jerry's been picked on quite a bit. That time it was for 20 yards.
Gain of 20 on the play, and Iowa knocking on the door again. Conley himself having a great night.
Again, Conley, Jaycox, Spencer, Carlos James. I mean, the list goes on and on of receivers for Iowa.
What a way to kick off the Memorial Day weekend, and we've got a full plate of picnic-style baseball coming at you this Memorial Day weekend. Sunday night, it's the Yankees and Red Sox. They define rivalry in the American League East. And on Monday, a special doubleheader, the Orioles and Yankees. 1:15 Eastern time, that game begins, and then Albert Bell's return to Jacob Field. The Indians and the Chicago White Sox.
See Iowa total offense, they were about the middle of the pack in the league tonight. Boy, that average is going to jump up big time, close to 400 yards.
And Warner in trouble, throwing it away. Conley almost had it. Flags in the play. I should mention that Memorial Day doubleheader, Albert Bell returning to play against the Cleveland Indians. That game at Comiskey Park in Chicago.
Be interesting to see how he's received.
Down either. Tell him 4 times. Here we go. Okay, let's go. Red 8, 28.
Iowa assessed a 3-yard penalty after 2 men were in motion at the same time.
Red 8, 32 smash on set, ready?
32 smash, usually it's a running play.
Carlos James trying to find some open space. Warner in trouble. Oh, he's hit. Was he hit in the act of throwing? That was a fumble. And Jerome Brown pounding the AstroTurf, missing his opportunity to recover.
Boy, here again, Albany did it once before with Pawlawski. He tried to scoop the ball and didn't get it. Another opportunity, a great hit, great pressure. Fall on the ball. He tries to scoop it, can't get it, and it's recovered by David Withune. Fall on the ball. Get
Ernest
possession.
Allen, number 91, applying the pressure on the backside, and you're right, Jerome Brown.
You ran the wrong route. 32 smash. 32 smash, you're in the flat. That's what I did go. Oh, that wasn't you going across. That was you.
Seemed to be some confusion. 32 smash. I inadvertently call a run. It's a route to the flat. Seems to be some confusion as who was supposed to run. Receiver wasn't there.
Let's go. Trip slap. Let's go. X option 31. Here we go. Hold up. Go trip slap, X motion, 80, 31, X option. On one. Ready?
That's a big play there. Jerome Brown, as Mike Daly, I'm sure, would have loved if he had fallen on the ball and they had possession right now.
Second down and a long goal. Jaycox made the grab down to the 5-yard line.
Good throw going up by Warner again off his back foot. He throws it ugly. Jaycox does a nice job. Look at him coming down. Did he get a foot in? Didn't get a foot in, but the defensive back pushes you out, and the referee thinks you would have come down inbounds before the contact was made. They'll give you the reception. That's exactly what happened there with Willis Jaycox. Kurt Warner, you know, you mentioned before, the sidearm off the back foot, no tight spiral, but he gets it there.
John Gregory has been in this league long enough to realize this is not a safe lead by any stretch of the imagination. So now 3rd and goal for the Barnstormers at the Albany 5-yard line. He's got Carlos James in the end zone. Touchdown, number 9.
That was a new dance right there, I'll tell you that much. He just goes in motion. Mcleod has him in coverage. He's in motion way to the left, and you'll see him just cut right across the middle. Warner hits him right on the money. Mcleod 2 steps back. And then I don't know what this is.
And I don't want to know,
nope,
Mike Franklin.
Nope, nope. I'm not touching that.
Mike Black attempting the 69th point, bounces off the left upright. But Kurt Warner and his fleet of right, the hockey show for hockey fans, join Bill Pito. He's got the latest on the Stanley Cup Finals.
And just in case you're wondering, with Iowa's 68 points, who scored the most in one game? Well, last year, Albany did it, 88 points against the Charlotte Rage. Last year was Mike Perez at quarterback.
So we're not even close there. No. Right? Eddie Brown. Oh, he's got a seam. Andre Allen finally tripped him up, perhaps saving a touchdown, and maybe the flag did as well. You play arena football, you have to do it all.
Holding on Stephen Jerry. That's not the first time he's been called. He got called on another kickoff return for a holding to bring one back, and that is, you know, you're talking starting from the 1-yard line, you're starting from the 20.
Number 4 return, half the distance to the goal, first down.
You know, and when you hold on a return, a lot of times that could be it's a 4th quarter, getting a little tired, not getting yourself in good position to block, not fronting up your man. If you're a little slow with that, maybe a little tired, he gets by you, your natural instinct to reach out and grab. Stephen Jerry has been called a couple of times for that tonight, and it's been costly.
One minute remains here in the 4th and final quarter. Albany has no timeouts remaining, but they can stop the clock with an interception, or an incompletion, I should say, or the ball going out of bounds. Charley Davidson in motion wide to the right. Pawlawski to Hopkins. The flag thrown in the end zone.
Wheels are
they're playing 3 deep.
So strong rage right, wing loop, 38 slant.
Yeah.
Penalty starting to hurt Albany. I mean, they had the ball first down at the 20. Penalty on the kickoff return, and now holding.
Strong rage right, wing loop, 38 slant. On one, ready?
I don't think the ball can get any closer to the goal line than it is. Right, half the distance doesn't mean a whole lot right now.
Not when you're starting from the 1-inch line. Brown in motion to the right. Pawlawski looking for Hopkins underneath. The ball thrown behind him. And I think the fans here have sensed that this game is over. And maybe the players do too. Talk about distribution, Michael.
Yeah, you know, we talked about Eddie Brown for Albany getting a lot of the throws. Look at what Iowa does. Cooper with 3 touchdowns, Jaycox 3, Conley 2, Carlos James 1. you know, and Spencer has got some reception. I mean, they have absolutely the best wide receiver depth in the league, bar none.
Pawlawski underneath again to Hopkins. He'll run it out of bounds to stop the clock. 44 seconds remaining.
That pass gave himself a little bit of room there. Now they're going to have to open it up and get down the field a little more. Those passes aren't going to work at this point of the game. But at least they're out of the end zone now to kind of work the field a little more.
Who would have thunk? I'm sure Mike Daly would have said, hey, give me 50 points tonight. We can win this thing.
The way his defense is playing, absolutely.
Play clock winding down. Pawlawski gets the play off on time. Eddie Brown gets out of bounds.
Good heads-up play there by Pawlawski. He actually had Hopkins open in the middle of the field, but he threw it to Eddie Brown because Eddie Brown was open also, but he's closer to the sideline, so he knows Eddie Brown can get out of bounds. Because Hopkins was open in the middle of the field. Pawlawski makes a nice move, not going to him. Hopkins would have a much harder time getting out of bounds, stopping the clock. Eddie Brown catches the ball right by the sidelines and can get the clock stopped.
Very quiet now here in the Pepsi Arena. Pawlawski throwing into double coverage, but we've got pass interference.
Attempt to number 17, Eddie Brown. To number 19, Todd.
Number 19, Iowa.
Todd Harrington called on that, but Pawlawski watched Andre Allen come in number 10 with the move. He's fallen down, so he catches Pawlawski low. Oh, I tell you what, when your momentum's going forward with the pass and someone catches you in the knees, taking it backward, that could cause some injury. See Harrington with the push from behind on Eddie Brown. Didn't really need to.
Yeah, well covered.
Yep.
He had help on the front side. All for naught offensively for Albany. Great nights by Mike Pawlawski and Eddie Brown. Greg Hopkins makes the reception inside the 10. 25 seconds remaining here in the fourth and final quarter. A night where offense has ruled.
Confusion here until Iowa gets a player coming in. Clock is stopped.
Go strong right, 8 zoom, 30 sail as slow.
Okay, okay.
They like the slant call. Run him off and then slant a guy underneath. Been running that a lot tonight.
Well, time. Strong right, 8 zoom, 30, 8 sail. All one, ready?
Sounds like you changed the play. 38 sail is not the same as a 38 slant.
Zoom or slant. Hopkins, the motion man. Pawlawski looking for him. Leonard Conley coming up the middle from his linebacking position.
And the clock continues to run in the last minute. Didn't get out of bounds.
Mike will stop the, you know, a little bit of irony here. And we talked about the NHL tonight following us. All the latest on the quest for Lord Stanley Cup. Albany had problems practicing because this is the home of the River Rats of the AHL, the American Hockey League, and they're in the Calder Cup semifinals, I believe.
And they're losing 3-0 right now, so I have a feeling Mike Daly maybe isn't rooting for them too much. But once they're out, Albany gets to practice in this facility.
Pawlawski has looked anything but rusty on this evening, however, and that is it.
They gave him the touchdown. Referee saying he crossed the plane. Boy, that was close. Looked like Iowa did a nice job of keeping him from crossing the line. Makes no difference score-wise, but hey, pride-wise on a defense, you want to get that stop.
A statistician's nightmare and Iowa fans' delight. 124 points combined for these two teams. 125. If Elizabeth makes the extra point, he does. So the Iowa Barnstormers and their coach, John Gregory, run their record to 3-1 with a 68-57 victory over Mike Daly and his Albany Firebirds. 9 touchdown passes for Kurt Warner. Even the opposition was doing flips. We'll be there next week, Iowa versus Anaheim. And a reminder coming up next here on ESPN2, the NHL Tonight with Bill Pito. For Mike Golick, I'm Mike Adamley. Thanks for joining us. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.